夢と希望の魔法少女それが
Destruction, anger, sadness, discomfort. All of these are not only necessary, but needed. If you were raised in a Western culture, then even hearing a sentence like that might make you feel some discomfort. Nowadays, there is a villainization of these negative or darker emotions and actions. Dark in this context doesn't mean bad or evil, just like the inverse in this context, that being light, doesn't mean good. Light and dark simply exist as opposite poles from another, the same way as hot and cold are unified and separate do. Life naturally has us experience an uncountable amount of points along an uncountable amount of axes. But what if you were to eliminate the left halves? Only leave creation instead of destruction, or happiness instead of sadness? Not only would your life be worse off, but attempting to even just hide the left side will cause you pain. It's only in accepting and integrating both sides that you can become the best version of yourself. Tarot cards are, well, a deck of cards, and are used commonly as a divination tool. Among the cards in a tarot deck, there is one called the Tower. It's the number 16 of the major arcanas. For context, the major arcana cards are 22 cards that symbolize different parts of a hero's journey story. Now each deck will have a different flavor to the Tower card, but the core meaning behind it is a sudden change that leads to destruction of a current aspect of your life. Now this aspect could mean a job, a lover, a friend, a hobby, or even less tangible things like a way of thinking. Looking at the imagery of the card, it can evoke some not-so-pleasant reactions, which makes sense. Falling out of a building isn't usually pleasant. Destruction that the Tower represents can be painful, but it is always something that is necessary and can lead to better situations. If one gets too comfortable in their current lifestyle, they often won't initiate a change themselves, even if it's a constructive one. If everything in my life can just coast along, why should I change something like my diet? Why shouldn't I eat a McGriddle every morning? I like what I eat now and nothing bad has happened. Yet, why worry about paying off my current debts? I'll figure it out.
Are you f***ing kidding me? Are you guys like literal creatures? What the f*** are you guys?
What? Can I not have some fun and spend thousands of dollars on my birthday? Come on, it was my birthday.
Your birthday!
Why change anything when my current life is routine for me? People by nature like consistent routine because we falsely feel more in control of our world when we do so. It's easy to fall into bad habits this way, as once these bad habits have become routine for us, it takes conscious willpower and action to break them. The tarot card right before the Tower at number 15 is the Devil. The Devil often represents bad habits such as addictions or materialism. This is because the bad habits you form are a shaky foundation that you build your Tower of Life on. One day, the logical thing will happen, that being the sudden crash from the Tower card. It's often only through a sudden crash from destruction that we will wake up from our stupor. If you had a health scare, now all of a sudden you're more inclined to start eating better. The health scare would be a Tower moment. A sudden event that leads to the destruction of something that should be removed or rebuilt and changed in your life. If you had noticed the shaky foundation you built your Tower on, and destroyed your old eating habits earlier, you maybe could have avoided the health scare entirely. Destructive moments in our lives that arise from these events can be harsh and frightening, of course. But as long as we don't let it consume us, we will, in time, naturally move to the next tarot card. The Star. The Star represents hope and rejuvenation. To follow the health scare example, the time when one really decides to make those good changes to their life, believing in themselves and working day by day to do better, this is the embodiment of the Star. There are many success stories that come from someone not being in a great place, having a sudden change in their life that makes them realize they need to work at something. They then accomplish something incredible from the hard work they put in. Does all of this mean you should make drastic changes, bringing in some good old destruction in your life the moment you feel like something isn't right for you? Does every time you think your tower is rumbling mean that it's been built on a faulty foundation? No. There are times where we feel like something is wrong, but in reality that discomfort is coming from our own mind, not the external situation. If you started a new job that you didn't think you would get when you applied, and then when working it, you're always thinking, oh shit, I am so out of my depth here. I should never have left my old job. Maybe you really are struggling at the job, but it can just as easily be your fears or insecurities wanting your old job back because you felt more in control there. These fears could easily go away if you just give yourself more of a chance at the job, making it past the initial uncomfortable phase. The process of determining the cause of your feelings takes self-reflection. This self-reflection works best through different methods of meditation and shadow work. Most people know what meditation is, but for those who don't know what shadow work is, I'll try to explain briefly. This will be oversimplifying it drastically. The shadow is a concept from famous psychologist Carl Jung, in which the shadow of an individual is the parts of yourself that you have repressed or rejected. You push these so far down into your unconscious that you will act instinctively against them. Shadow work is when you dig at this shadow to rediscover and integrate these aspects back into yourself. If you had a rough childhood where you weren't allowed to just have fun and be a kid, this can result in you pushing your joyful side into your shadow. As an adult, if you see other adults enjoying themselves and this instinctively causes you to get annoyed at them, you might want to do some looking into shadow work and bring childlike joy back into your life. Now, I don't want to make this sound like if you ever get annoyed at someone, then that's like totally your own damage and you need to work on yourself. If you don't like me yelling at the top of my lungs in the library, you just hate watching others have fun. I'm not calling anyone out specifically, but if you've been around certain spiritual people, then you know what I'm talking about. I've had one try to tell me that if I found people who chew with their mouth open disgusting, then I was repressing the child in me that would chew with his mouth open. This is where people can go too far and not take into account things like manners of societies. Chewing with your mouth open when eating alone at home is one thing. Doing so while others try to eat with you while you expose them to all of your mouth slop is another. Parsing through your own thoughts and feelings takes patience, but you should take the time to understand yourself better. You can routinely take account of your own life, where you want to be going with it, and if you are taking positive steps in that direction. If, when you are reflecting on your current life and some aspect of it keeps causing you to feel uncomfortable, it may be time to change it.
人生には重大な決断をしなければならない時がいくつもあるが、あの子たちはそれを先送りにはできないんだ。
Now I know the kinds of thoughts that appear when talking about this. But what if it doesn't work out? What if I go through the discomfort of destroying a certain aspect of my life in order to rebuild it, but I don't like what I rebuilt it as? What if I make positive changes, but bad things still happen in my life? Well, if you're going to feel uncomfortable remaining stagnant and uncomfortable trying to change, why not take the chance at a change? Even if we try and cling as hard as we can onto our current life, that doesn't mean it will remain as it is. The world is always in a state of flux. Changes are inevitable. There will always be pain and misfortune somewhere in life, even if we theoretically made only perfect decisions. That's nothing to be afraid of. The negative poles of emotions, such as sadness, anger, and pain, are needed to appreciate and understand the positive poles of happiness, joy, and pleasure. Negative emotions and experiences are great harbingers of personal growth and change if you don't let them consume you. It's no coincidence that it always seems like the wisest person you know has gone through plenty of painful trials in their own life. Anger. Anger is in such a strange position. Growing up in the American school system, I was conditioned to suppress and repress any type of anger, whether it was justified or not. My fellow burger citizens will know the stupidity of zero tolerance. Now, Spirit, even if Gus tackled you, you can't punch him because that's mean. Now you're both in trouble, but I need you guys to fake being nice and say sorry to each other before I let you go. When you get older and live in a place where the government hates you, they too will use this mindset. Did you defend yourself against someone invading your home? Tried to help someone being attacked, especially a woman or child? Well, you are mean and a bad person for doing so. Now you are both in trouble, except we will probably let the original attacker go because, well, like I said earlier, the government hates you. Don't worry though, I'm sure Tao Kung Fu will hold back Muhammad and his knife. Duty retreat laws are designed by evil, I swear, man. Anyways, growing up in this kind of environment, I had internalized any negative emotion I had in general. If you wanted to know something that was part of my own shadow, it was the repression of my anger. This led me to feel very uncomfortable around conflict. Even in fiction, it bugged the shit out of me. I would have to routinely pause certain drama-filled conflicts going on in a show just because I'm like, I don't like this. I'll come back to it in 3 minutes and then I'll pause it again after 30 seconds and come back again. I became a heavy people pleaser growing up. acting fine no matter how angry or sad I felt from other people's actions. This doesn't work long term, by the way, and with no outlet, I would eventually absolutely blow up on something or someone, getting it out of my system before calming down and feeling a great amount of shame. It took shadow work to recognize my anger being a normal part of me and bring it back into balance. An example like this is what I mean by trying to hide the left half of the axis that leads to a worse life. This isn't something that just happens on a personal level either. Have you noticed that the communities of people who seem to pride themselves as being friendly, positive, no being mean or edginess allowed, have some of the most vitriolic moments online? Their communities try to hide their darker emotions, until there is a socially accepted victim for them to blow up and pour their negativity at. Even if it's for something as stupid and minor as a hairstyle in a game. Contrary to what some spiritual people say, it is perfectly healthy and normal to have negative thoughts, to get angry or sad. No, that doesn't make you an evil person. And no, it doesn't mean you are going to manifest some kind of negative thing to happen in your own life. When someone commits harm, I have heard multiple times to turn the other cheek, or to let it go because karma or life will punish them for their actions, man. First off, that is not how karma works. Karma is not a form of justice. It is a manifestation of the cosmic balance of energy. Second, simply letting people do you wrong and then never seeking justice is abdicating your own responsibility. How do you know you are not supposed to be the karma in this person's life for them to realize their actions are wrong and have consequences? You should recognize your anger, then make decisions with a calm mind. Don't let anger control you, and don't give in to complete malice, but don't just accept beatings and expect the universe to somehow defend you if you won't even try to defend yourself. You don't have to just accept it. Destruction, just like anger, is not inherently evil. Just like how its counterpart, creation, is not inherently good. Creation is more holy, yes, because the act of creation takes more time and care. You can destroy a painting in seconds that took weeks to complete. In this way, creation is more important to focus on, but destruction is needed as well. Creating and raising a child properly is an act of divine creation that takes place over many years. But what if something is hostile to that child? If you are gardening and weeds start popping up all over, reducing the nutrients your flowers receive and causing them to potentially die, do you water the plants more and hope for the best, or do you just get rid of the weeds? There is nothing wrong with destroying something harmful, especially if it's against your very existence. This doesn't always mean literally atomizing something out of this physical plane. For example, destroying methods of communication, aka blocking a person who only takes advantage of you, is not literal destruction, but it is still destruction. Whether it's internal or external, feel no shame in the act of necessary destruction. And be sure to keep creating too. It's what I plan to do. So I guess the internet is kinda stuck with me, schizoid. Wait. No, don't sit in the Ghostbuster!